When I had the phone call inviting me to be part of Les Mis in 2014, it was like greeting an old friend again, really. It's always going to be one that's close to my heart, and so lovely to think of doing it again, and doing it again with a fresh lift to it. This new production has kept some of the old elements, but changed some of the costumes.
The new Les Mis, which is being put together now, is a combination of the old designs and new designs, as was wanted by Cameron Mackintosh. And there's much more colour in the Cosette costumes, where before she was always black and it had a very simple look to her.
She was wearing a black dress with a white collar, and in the new production she's been allowed to blossom into some colours and be more reflective of the fashions that were around at the time. Her wedding dress is one of the most significant changes in there. The original wedding dress was a two-part wedding dress, in that it was made out of silk. It still had the hooped petticoat and the large sleeves of the era, but in the wedding scene she had a lace overlay over the top, and then she used to take that off when she would go racing off to see Valjean just before he died. Now in this current production, that has been simplified and the era moved just slightly.
The new Les Mis wedding dress has a different approach to it. It needs a lot more hand, what we call cartridge pleating. That's what has to be done by hand. You draw thread through by hand to get the correct period look for the shape, rather than just pleating or tucking it up. It involves 8 to 10 metres of fabric, because they have very full skirts and very large sleeves, which have to be cut on a certain grain of fabric to make them work. It's quite an extravagant cut, but that's the only way you can achieve the silhouette. And rather than the lace overlay, which we had the last time, we are now doing this with a velvet cape, which tones the whole look of the show down for the death of Valjean. This dress is a much simpler version than the earlier one, but it still is a very pretty one.
Les Mis is a large costume show for us. There are 330 odd costumes in the show. When
you're making a costume such as a Cosette costume, you don't just make it once, you have to make it 3 times, because you have 2 covers.
And that's another 87 costumes. The ensemble have a large number of costumes. Individually, they probably have between 8 and 11 costumes each. The swings, who understudy all of the ensemble tracks, have to double up on everybody's individual little roles. So they will have their own student and they might have their own farm worker, but they will have to cover the other smaller roles, so they can have 22 costumes each. The level of detail on costumes, from an audience point of view, makes the show believable. The detail is only achieved through the work of quite a large team of people. For example, in the wig making area, each hair is knotted into the base that they make for the wig. By the time they get to the front section, they are knotting individual hairs so that you get that beautiful, fine, natural-looking hairline. All of our show is real human hair wigs. The Fontaine wig, the very long, beautiful hair, is sourced from Russia. The shoemakers will take exact measurements of the actors' feet, and from that they will bespoke make shoes and footwear, boots, to fit the actor. Many actors are a little bit sceptical, if they haven't had shoes made before, about what all the fuss is about. If those actors are wearing those shoes for 3 hours every night, you really need shoes that aren't damaging their feet. In Tony's workshop, they will go to the detail of making all the undergarments correctly, so that the costume will sit properly and will get the right shape and style that we need for the costume.
When you're making a big production such as Les Mis, it requires a lot of fabrics, enormous amounts in some cases. But a girl's dress will take 6 to 8 to 10 metres of silk sometimes. The work we do here is very high quality, it's very hands-on, labour intensive. On a big production we employ several people, usually 2 or 3 cutters apart from myself. I generally tend to try and, if I have the time, to do the principal costumes, but we employ tailors and other cutters as well help. It involves a buyer, sometimes an art department people have to be involved for dyeing of fabrics, and then there's the finishing, a lot of hand sewing, and then there's a team of very good sewers, machinists, what we call machinists, who sit behind the sewing machine and do the basic slog work of putting a costume together.
Excel becomes my friend. A lot of Excel spreadsheets, analysing each person's track, each person's costume, how many trousers they've got, how many shirts they've got, how many jabots, how many cravats, how many hats they need, and then how many hats the understudies will need. Socks for everybody to wear, whether they've got belts, whether they've got braces on all the trousers. Every time there's a pair of braces on a pair of trousers, that's 6 pairs of bracer buttons on each pair of trousers. So, you know, the numbers just start to add up. Once these spreadsheets are done and we've worked out the scope of the work that we need to do, then I will take all that costume information to Tony and his workshop. From the information that I distill, they distill it a bit further, and then out of that we end up with all these products, which once we pull them all together and fine-tune them, we end up with Les Mis on stage. Les Mis has been quite a journey for me. It's interesting to come back to it as a very experienced costume supervisor now.
I was delighted to be involved with Les Mis again because it's one of my favourite productions and it's nice work, and enjoy the team that we work with.
I think an audience coming to see it now will be aware of more light and shade in the production, that the lighting and the new costumes will take them on a slightly more romantic journey. Working with the director and the designer to really fine-tune that to the look that they want to present on opening night is the lovely part of the show.